serious drama. She introduces a little unaffected freshness into an intellectual argument about a play they've all just seen.
I didn't get that. I mean, to me, it wasn't such a big deal. One guy was a squealer, the other guy wasn't. I liked the guy that wasn't.
Well, it's a little more complex than that, don't you think?
Why? You liked the squealer? Did I miss something?
That's what made me anxious about the play. I mean, how do you figure out the right thing to do? How do you know?
How do you know? I don't know. You just know. I mean, you feel it. I mean, you just don't squeal. I don't know.
Maureen Stapleton, right down to earth in the midst of that neurotic family. And now here are all the nominees for Best Supporting Actress. Penelope Milford, who played Jane Fonda's best pal in Coming Home. Maggie Smith, the nervous actress who was nominated for an Oscar herself in California Suite. Meryl Streep, the girl left behind in The Deer Hunter. Maureen Stapleton in Interiors, and Diane Cannon in Heaven Can Wait. And I'm predicting Diane Cannon. Gene, I think that she was really great in Heaven Can Wait. She's got kind of a sexy, intelligent comic sense. She's been around for a few years. She's popular in Hollywood. She just last year was nominated for an Academy Award for a short film she made, and I think that she deserves to win in this category.
She has a good chance. My preference is also the person I'm going to predict here, and I think it's going to be Maureen Stapleton. I think she's critically important to the film Interiors. If the film is about unhappy people and she's the one happy person, then really she's half the story, and she really makes the film come alive, so I'm predicting Maureen Stapleton.
She certainly was noticeable in that film. If I had to pick a preference, I think maybe my preference would be Diane Cannon too, but if not Diane Cannon, then Penelope Milford, who was so good as Fonda's friend in Coming Home. Their men went off to fight the war, they were left together. The camaraderie there on the Army base was really well developed.
Yeah, I cared a lot about her character, almost as much as Fonda's character. Now, the supporting actor and actress categories frequently feature the work of fresh, new actors and actresses. They don't often win, but this year there may be an exception in the supporting actor category. Among the veterans who have been nominated, the frontrunner is Bruce Dern, who's played an assortment of crazies during his career. Dern was typecast in Coming Home as a gung-ho soldier shell-shocked by the battlefield atrocities committed by his men in Vietnam, and he explains this to his wife, Jane Fonda, during a week's leave in Hong Kong.
My men were chopping heads off. That's what they were into. Oh, they were dead.
Please allow me to introduce myself. I'm a man of wealth and
If Dern wins, it'll be for playing that kind of same character so often and so well during his career. But I'm betting that Christopher Walken, a first-time nominee, will win for his stunning performance as another shell-shocked Vietnam veteran in The Deer Hunter. What better way to express the horrors of the war than not being able to talk about it? Here he is, recovering from battle in an Army hospital.
All right, let me see your name tag. This yours?
Yes.
What are your parents' names?
Lou. My mother's name is Eva.
And what are your parents' dates of birth?
A powerful moment in a strong film, and I think that scene is going to win him the Oscar. Also nominated, but frankly they don't have much of a chance, are the popular Jack Warden, the football coach in Heaven Can Wait, Richard Farnsworth, a dying old cowhand in Comes a Horseman, and John Hurt, a sensitive English drug addict trapped in a brutal Turkish jail in Midnight Express. As also I mentioned, Bruce Dern in Coming Home, Christopher Walken in The Deer Hunter. I'm picking Christopher Walken. How about you?
I guess we're in agreement. I'm picking Christopher Walken too, and I think it was really a performance that not only am I predicting, but I think it deserves the Oscar. When you stop to think about it, although he's nominated as Best Supporting Actor, his role is just as important as the one that Robert De Niro has for Best Actor. He's there at the beginning, he's there in this scene we see in the middle of the film, and then he gets in even deeper. It's really a great role.
Yes, he's the one we really care about the most. I think it's a terrific performance. Now, oddly enough, sometimes they put a character like De Niro in the lead category and a newcomer like Walken in the supporting category. That way the film company can try and get 2 nominations.
I think we're going to hear a lot more about him, but let's move on right now to Best Actress. And you know, in a way, Gene, I think the Best Actress Oscar is the one that movie fans really get the most excited about, even more than Best Actor or maybe even more than Best Picture. And in the last few years, with the rebirth of the great women's roles, the competition in this category has been especially close. So let's start with my choice for the winner, Jill Clayburgh in An Unmarried Woman. Here she is, having an argument with her husband, Michael Murphy, who's left her for a younger woman.
You really hate me, don't you?
Yeah.
I don't hate you.
Oh. You were always a very compassionate man.
Now, wait a minute. How can you hate somebody that you were in love with for 16 years? I don't know.
It's easy.
Well, if you're trying to make me feel guiltier than I already do, you're doing a good job.
Good.
This is ridiculous. Why are we having this conversation?
Martin, do you know how many times we made love? No.
No, I don't want to get into that.
I want to tell you. At least 2,000 times. That's counting twice a week for 16 years. You should put it up on your ticker tape. I think it's a very interesting statistic. I want to know something. Did you fall out of love with my flesh, my body? Or me? With Erica? Did you fall out of love with Erica?
Wait a minute. I didn't fall out of love with you. I love you. I mean, all right, it's different now, but I love you. I can't just erase all those years. I'll always love you.
Jill Clayburgh is at the center of that whole movie, surviving a broken marriage and putting her life back together again. I predicted months ago she'd win an Oscar for her performance right after I first saw the movie. Still think so. Now let's take a look at some of her competition.
Away from this.
Why are you looking at me like that?
Why do you have to look so luminous? I mean, it would make things so much easier if you woke up with puffy eyes and blotchy skin like everyone else.
Guess God just figured that chubby thighs were enough.
Varför känner jag mig som jag hade feber? Därför vill jag bara gråta. Idiotiskt dumt. Där ska jag stå utskämd. Och det är meningen. Och så dåligt samvete. Alltid dåligt samvete.
Move out. Look, it's not irrevocable. It's a trial separation.
Be alone.
Eve.
I don't want to discuss the details just now. Oh, it's a very bad time for me.
Geraldine Page, there's a real poignancy there in the way she tries to maintain her dignity while her life is falling to pieces all around her. The other 2 nominees we just saw both won Oscars as Best Actress before. Ellen Burstyn in 1974 and Ingrid Bergman, she won in both 1944 and 1956. And so is Jane Fonda, who won for Clute in 1974. This year, Fonda's been nominated for Coming Home, and here she is on moving day at the Army base in a scene with Best Supporting Actress nominee, Penelope Milford.
Hey, want to see something funny?
I'd love to.
My yearbook.
Oh, look at that dress.
It was a nice dress.
It's cute. There's another one here. So funny looking at the way we used to look, isn't it?
Doggy in the window?
Look.
Ooh. Sally Bender. Nickname Sal. What is the one thing she'd want on a desert island? A husband.
I was so ambitious.
And so original.
You know the guy we were just talking about? He's in here somewhere.
Oh, yeah?
Look. Luke Martin. Nickname, the Duke.
He's cute.
Co-captain of the football team.
What one thing would he want on a desert island? A mirror.
Jane Fonda. And so the 5 nominees for Best Actress are Jill Clayburgh in An Unmarried Woman, Ellen Burstyn in Same Time Next Year, Ingrid Bergman in Autumn Sonata, Geraldine Page in Interiors, and Jane Fonda in Coming Home. And as I said, I'm predicting Jill Clayburgh from An Unmarried Woman. I think it's a terrific performance. She has to go through so many changes, from happiness at the beginning, then through the breakup of her marriage. She drifts for a while, meets a man. The gamut of emotions, as they say in the showbiz, I suppose. It's a great performance.
Well, I'm picking Jane Fonda, and I think for 2 reasons. One, she's at the top of her game. She's working in a whole bunch of hit films, California Suite, Comes a Horseman, now China Syndrome. She's working for every studio. Everybody seems to like her, and she was not, the second reason, she was not shrill in this Vietnam film Coming Home when I think a lot of people thought she was going to be. She was warm. It was a great human performance. I think she's going to win.
What kind of a chance do you think Ingrid Bergman has? Is she kind of a sentimental favorite?
I think she may be. She's announced her retirement from films, reportedly due to illness. If she does retire, if people think that's going to happen, she could get a sympathy vote and win.
Well, that might be a possibility. Before we go on to the next category, we'd like to show you another Oscar nominee for animation.
And now we come to what in recent years has been the laughing stock of the Academy Awards, the Best Song category, which in the 70s has featured a great many songs that no one has either heard of either before or after the Oscar show. You'll recall that last year, none of the songs from Saturday Night Fever was nominated, incredibly, but the waltz from The Story of Cinderella was. That's crazy. Now, all of this is due to the old fogies who make up the group within the Academy that selects the music nominees. They caught a lot of flack for their nominations last year, so this year, finally, we have some contemporary music. The odds-on favorite, Olivia Newton-John, singing Hopelessly Devoted to You from Grease, the top money-making musical of all time. Money talks in Hollywood, so this should win. Bet you haven't heard this tune before. The only reason this bomber was nominated, it was sung by last year's Oscar winner, Debbie Boone.
And when you're loved, the missing part of it together.
Now here he is, a popular hit song, Barry Manilow singing the love theme from Foul Play. And if Grease doesn't win, I predict the Oscar will go to the disco hit Last Dance, sung by Donna Summer. This may surprise you, but after the Best Picture and Acting Awards, the Oscar for Best Song is the most highly sought after. That's because it can bring in the most money, because a victory means that the record will get a lot of play on the radio, which in turn will sell more singles, and then the film soundtrack will sell as well. Well, I predict the winner will be Hopelessly Devoted to You from Grease, but not necessarily because it's the best music. It's because I think the Academy may try to make up for its embarrassing omission of Saturday Night Fever last year. Both Saturday Night Fever and Grease are on the same record label, RSO, the Robert Stigwood organization, so the Academy voters might be giving an Oscar really to two films this time.
Probably so. I'm also predicting, once again, Hopelessly Devoted to You. The question I have, though, looking back, thinking back about Grease, is what about songs like Grease or You're the One That I Want, which were a lot livelier and were bigger hits than Hopelessly Devoted.
And much more inventive in terms of the music.
Those were overlooked.
Yeah. I think what happens, and people ought to know this, is that the film company and the record company get together and decide which song they're going to promote, and they can promote it in a number of ways. They take out ads in the trade publications like Variety and Daily Reporter, Hollywood Reporter, and also they send out free copies of the record to all the Academy members. So they're sending this one record, that's the one that gets nominated.
So they're trying to manufacture another hit.
Yeah, from Olivia Newton-John, who's a hot record star.
Terrific. Let me ask you another question.
Yeah.
Have you seen The Magic of Lassie?
No, and I don't think I want to.
Okay, well, I haven't seen it either. It hasn't played in most cities. It was an enormous flop. And yet, what's the name of this song? Pause?
I can't remember.
Remembering You in Doggy Heaven or something? How do songs like this get nominated when you have songs like Every Which Way But Loose, which didn't get nominated?
Well, again, these companies hire record promoters, and these guys' job is to influence people and get a nomination. They obviously hired a pretty good one for that song.
They got a real dog this time, The Magic of Lassie. And now, from best song to one of the quietest categories, art direction, because the sets hardly ever make any noise. In fact, one of the easiest ways to explain what the art director does is to say that he's responsible for the parts of the movie that don't move. The sets, the props, the furniture, the streets, the houses, the seats. It's his job to place the characters securely in their surroundings, whether they live as they do this year in South Boston or California and Long Island or Heaven or even in the legendary Kingdom of Oz. Now, we're going to look at all the scenes from all the nominees, and when you look at them, don't pay so much attention to the acting as to the things that surround the actors. Look at the meticulous attention that's gone into creating the world the characters live in.
Come on in. Have a drink.
I don't drink, but I'll have a drink anyway.
Good, what'll it be?
Got any Chianti?
No, I don't keep that cheap stuff in the house.
Well, then forget it. I'm better off without
The Brinks job takes us back to Boston in 1950. Look at this set, for example, for the inside of a house. It looks absolutely real as the characters move through the room. Watch the details, the wallpaper, the furniture, even the knickknacks on the mantelpiece.
You wanted me to ask you if you wanted some work.
What sort of work would that be?
Sandy didn't tell you?
Not that I remember. Where'd you get that tie?
Well, they're handmade.
Do me a favor. Next time you're in the North End, boost a couple for me. I like to give them away to my help.
Listen, mister, I didn't come here to talk about clothes. I take beats. I'm the best damn beat man that there ever was, and I don't need nobody along who don't know that.
Well, I guess then you don't need me along then, do you?
Gin and tonic, please.
Nothing for me.
California Suite was the Neil Simon comedy that told 4 stories about visitors to the Beverly Hills Hotel. And the hotel was reproduced in perfect detail. This movie set duplicates the famous Polo Lounge.
No fun anymore.
Even the hotel's hallways and rooms were duplicated, and only the colors of the guest rooms were changed to make them look brighter for the camera.
I'll take care of you later.
Heaven Can Wait was an out-of-this-world challenge for the art director because it told the story of a professional athlete who died when it wasn't his turn. He was given another chance in heaven to return to Earth for the rest of his allotted days. The art direction supplied this luxurious mansion and a millionaire's lifestyle.
I
after that, she was always sort of coming in and...
Woody Allen's film Interiors was about a rather cold and distant family, and the whole film had the look of this scene. Lots of light, but sort of wintry light, not too many furnishings, but perfectly selected, and an extra good taste with cool, remote pastel colors. The furnishings tell us as much about the characters as the characters themselves.
She put Dad through law school, and she financed the start of his practice, so in a sense, it was like he was her creation.
The Wiz is the movie I'm predicting will win the Oscar for Best Art Direction. The whole movie is full of unrestrained visual fantasy, and the most spectacular scene has got to be this one. Using special effects to combine the Chrysler Building and a yellow brick road, it gives Dorothy and the Scarecrow an unforgettable pathway to Oz. So the 5 nominees for Art Direction. The art director is usually the guy who gets the screenplay, and then he moves from the sublime to the mundane. First he visualizes the movie's fantasy world, then he gets out his hammer and his nails, and he builds it. I say The Wiz is going to win, Gene. What do you think?
I think I'm going to pick an upset, California Suite. The reason is they duplicated this famous hotel out in Hollywood. It's the Hollywood film workers who actually make the voting. I think they're going to back one of their own creations. They're amazed to see that hotel on film. So.
Well, I think they're amazed, but maybe not that easily amazed. I thought The Wiz was a lot more fun, especially because the art direction was combined with a lot of special effects. In the scene we saw, for example, of the mythical Manhattan skyline that was turned into the world of Oz, lots of special effects went into that in addition to the original artistic conception.
My preference might be the one from Interiors. It's beautiful, as you said, cold. It tells the story silently. We don't even need to know anything about the characters. We can just look at their rooms.
That might be a pretty competitive category. We'll be back with the nominee for Best Picture after this second look at the clay animation in Rip Van Winkle. Now, there were only 3 nominees for animation this year, and Gene and I both think this is the winner.
And now we end our show the same way the Oscar show will end on April 9th, with the award for Best Picture, the most important prize of all. A win here can mean millions of dollars because it'll get a film additional weeks of playing time in movie theaters all over the world. So first nominee, a surprisingly popular film, Midnight Express, a film with great appeal for young people, the story of a young American's incarceration for drug dealing inside a terrifying Turkish prison. A crushing moment occurs when the boy's father visits him in jail.
Louis, if I could be where you are, I'd be there.
I love you, Dad.
Kutaru.
Midnight Express. I found a lot of its horror repetitive. I didn't think it was one of the year's best pictures.
Yeah, kind of a one-note movie. I thought a lot of other films, including Days of Heaven, should have been nominated before Midnight Express. The next movie, though, I thought was one of the year's best. It's Paul Mazursky's An Unmarried Woman, and it was a comedy with a lot of bitter truth in it. Here's a scene from near the beginning of the film with Jill Clayburgh and Michael Murphy.
But I can't. You don't know her or anything. Her name is Marcia Brenner. She's a teacher. She's 26. Got better Bloomingdale's, for Christ's sake.
I was standing there buying a shirt, you know, and she was standing next to me. She asked me if I liked the shirt that she was buying for her father. Oh, God. I'm so sorry.
You tell Patty. You tell Patty that you're sorry.
I'm in love with her.
That moment begins the rest of her life. I don't know if the picture's going to win an Academy Award or not. It came out a year ago. Maybe it doesn't have quite enough strength, but I thought it was one of the best pictures, most serious pictures about women in a long time.
I like the beginning of the film a lot. I don't believe some of the ending. I agree with you, though. I don't think it has the power to win. Our next nominee, Heaven Can Wait. It's one of the most honored remakes in Academy Award history. 9 nominations for a romantic comedy based on the 1944 film Here Comes Mr. Jordan. Warren Beatty falls in love with Julie Christie.
You'd never forget me either, would you? I mean, that thing you said you saw in me, you said it was something in my eyes, remember?
Mm-hmm.
Well, if someday somebody came up to you, he might even be a football player, and he acted like he'd seen you before, you'd notice that same thing, wouldn't you? Or even if you thought you did, you'd give him a chance, wouldn't you? He might be a good guy. He could be anybody. He could even be a quarterback.
I didn't understand what you say.
Ah, I'm just acting crazy. Betty?
A romantic moment in a nice film, but that's all that Heaven Can Wait is, a nice picture, not Academy Award material.
I was kind of surprised, too, it got 9 nominations. I guess maybe people were in the mood for a light romantic comedy. That's all I can figure. Anyway, Gene, let's look at the movie I'm predicting will win the Oscar as this year's Best Picture. It's Michael Cimino's The Deer Hunter, a deeply moving 3-hour drama that's nowhere more compelling than in this scene, which takes place in a prisoner of war camp. The Viet Cong guards are forcing their prisoners to play Russian roulette while they gamble on who's going to be the first one to blow his brains out.
Stevie, come down.
Just about the whole picture's at that level of intensity, and I think that Deer Hunter is really the best American epic since the 2 Godfather pictures. It's got tremendous intensity, and I really do think it's going to win.
Well, I'll tell you, it's got the momentum right now. It's playing to capacity business throughout the United States. If momentum means anything, this picture should do it, and it is a very powerful film. However, I think the film that's going to win is Best Picture of the Year, also a film about the Vietnam War, this time a Vietnam War, love, and rehabilitation story, Coming Home, with Jane Fonda providing an awkward welcome home for her soldier husband, Bruce Dern.
You never told me that you were this close to the beach.
I wanted to surprise you.
You're full of surprises.
Hey! Welcome back, hero.
Hi, how are you?
Great. So tell me, how's Stink?
Stink is fine. He's kicking everybody's ass, as always.
Great.
No, ladies first, but I'll have the number 2 one. Oh, my God, this is good.
Cheers.
Are you hungry?
Hey, I made some Swedish meatballs to nibble on. They go great with drinks.
A disturbing contrast of emotions there in Coming Home. I think the reason it may win, I think it's a nicer picture about a rough subject. There's a beautiful love story there between John Voight and Jane Fonda. And also John Voight is terrific in a portrait of a strong handicapped person. A great film.
It is a nicer film than The Deer Hunter, but I still think The Deer Hunter is going to win. Any other year, maybe Coming Home. But this year, The Deer Hunter, coming so recently, being so long in a way, it's a 3-hour environment that you get lost in. and so powerful, I'm sticking with the Deer Hunter.
If I had to say my preference, if I were a voter, I'd vote for the Deer Hunter. As much as it's got a lot of faults, its strengths, I think, are magnificent.
Okay, preferences, I'm still for the Deer Hunter, but I do have a soft spot in my heart for an unmarried woman. I like that picture, but let's say the Deer Hunter.
And you know what could happen? We've got 4 serious pictures. They could all cancel each other out, and the light comedy could win.
Warren Beatty.
Exactly, and that'd be a shame because I think neither one of us really thinks that Heaven Can Wait is in the same league with these other films.
And now let's take one more look at all of our predictions, and I'm going to bet you, Gene, right now a carton of Raisinets that I get more right again this year than
You're
you
on,
did.
you're on.
Okay, for Best Actor, I'm predicting Robert De Niro in The Deer Hunter, and Gene thinks it's going to be Jon Voight in Coming Home. For Best Actress, my choice is Jill Clayburgh in An Unmarried Woman. Gene picks Jane Fonda in Coming Home. For Best Supporting Actor, we're both predicting it'll be Christopher Walken in The Deer Hunter. And for Best Supporting Actress, I say Diane Cannon will win for Heaven Can Wait, but Gene thinks it'll be Maureen Stapleton in Interiors. And once again, for the year's Best Picture, I predict the Academy Award will go to The Deer Hunter, and Gene predicts Coming Home will be the big winner. And Gene, we agree on 4 out of the 5 other Oscar categories. We both think The Wiz will win for Best Costume Design, that Days of Heaven will take the Oscar for cinematography, that the year's Best Song will be Hopelessly Devoted to You from Grease, and that Rip Van Winkle will take the prize for animation. In the category of art direction, though, our only disagreement, I say it'll be The Wiz, and Gene, you're predicting California Suite.
So that's it for this special Oscar show. Next time, we return to our regular format of reviewing 5 new movies. Until then, we'll be watching the Academy Awards along with you on Monday, April 9th. See you at the movies. Oh, Roger, you shouldn't have, but thanks.
The championship in the world in just 6 months.
That's right. Gotta buy me a house. Gotta make a lot of money. A lot of money. Then we're gonna go traveling, me and my kid, right?
Right.
All over the world. Where are we gonna go?
Brazil.
Brazil. What are we gonna see in Brazil? I know what we're gonna see. A lot of senoritas dancing the cha-cha-cha. Right? Dancing the cha-cha-cha-cha-cha.
Cha-cha-cha.
A joyful moment from The Champ with Jon Voight as a has-been prizefighter back in training and little Ricky Schroeder as his adoring 8-year-old son. The Champ is just one of 5 new movies we'll be looking at on sneak previews, 2 film critics reviewing the new movies in town. Across the aisle from me is Gene Siskel, the film critic of the Chicago Tribune and CBS TV News in Chicago.
And this is Roger Ebert, the Pulitzer Prize-winning film critic of the Chicago Sun-Times. Now, in addition to The Champ's sentimental melodrama, we'll be reviewing the suspense of Murder by Decree, a new Sherlock Holmes story. Also, the romance and comedy of A Perfect Couple, Robert Altman's new film. Also, the adventure and comedy of Buck Rogers in the 25th century. But now Roger starts with a film that, to my mind, is one of the finest musical pictures ever made, Hair.
I liked it too.
Great.
The stage version of Hair was one of the most successful musicals of the 1960s, but I would have guessed it somehow to be hopelessly dated by now, a relic of the age of Aquarius along with hippies and flower power and love beads. Remember love beads? I would have guessed wrong. The new film version by Milos Forman takes the strings of the original musical, including a lot of great songs, and combines them with a contemporary, fresh approach, as in this scene of a classic generation gap, where a hippie, played by Treat Williams, invades high society.
I'll tell you something. If you want me out of here, you're going to have to throw me out.
That's exactly what I'm going to do, Mr. Berger. I'm going to get the police. I'm not going to muss myself up fussing around with you. I'm going to get the police and get you out of here if I have to.
Okay.
That's exactly what I'm going to do.
Okay. penguin?
You've got a hell of a nerve, young man.
When he's not dancing on tabletops, Treat Williams looks for confrontations with the establishment. After a friend of his is drafted, for example, he drives all the way out west to try to visit him during basic training.
Hi.
How you doing? What can I do for you?
We're going in.
I'm sorry, but there's no civilian contact allowed on the base right now. We got an alert.
Yeah, well, you see,
Can't come in
we're
here.
not civilians. We're friends of a guy on the base. His name's Claude Bukowski. You probably know him. He's a private.
I don't know any
really
Claude
nice
Bukowski.
guy. He's got blonde hair, short.
No, I don't know any
short.
Claude Bukowski, but I'm sorry. You're still going to have to turn your vehicle around and go off post. All right? If you need some help, I'll be glad to assist you. Otherwise, back your vehicle up and turn it around.
Well, listen, we don't want to make any trouble. You don't
Turn around,
understand.
you won't. Okay?
Okay, just let me make a phone
No,
call.
you don't make a phone call here. You want to make a phone call, you make a phone call back where I tell you to go.
You just said to me you wanted to give me some assistance. Now, I just would like to.
Yeah, I'm going to
get
help
in
you
touch
turn
with my
around. That's the
friend.
only I'm going to help you do.
Yeah, but you don't understand. I mean, we've
Hey, Chief, this is it right here. You're going to turn the vehicle around and go. Clear? You get my drift, right? Turn your vehicle around, go off post. all right?
Listen, you don't understand, man.
No,
We've
you don't
driven
understand,
for about
mister.
5 days straight,
Listen,
man.
listen, my
I just
man.
want to see my friend for a couple hours,
Hey,
all
listen,
right?
I'm telling you to get the hell off my post. You turn your vehicle around and go that way. That's what I'm telling you. You listen to me. I'm not listening to you. You got that? Thank you. Have a nice day.
That scene is just a perfect distillation of the way American society was polarized during the Vietnam era, and in fact, one of the best things about this completely alive and successful movie version of Hair is that it captures so exactly some of the feelings of America in the 1960s. It's a musical, yes, with all the great hits we remember, like The Age of Aquarius, Good Morning Starshine, but it's also an accurate memory of what things were like 10 or 12 years ago. And it's like West Side Story or Cabaret in this, that it manages to be serious and joyous at the same time. It's a good movie.
I think it's better than that. I think it's great. And what I love about it is most movie musicals, as soon as somebody starts to sing, the action really stops. Here, they blend in beautifully. We saw it. That woman says to him, "You got a lot of nerve," and he responds, "I got life." It fits beautifully. A nice screenplay. Very well done.
I think you're right. One thing that's interesting about it, directed by a man named Milos Forman, who's from Czechoslovakia. His previous big movie in this country was One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
Academy Award.
A lot of Academy Awards. In both of these films, he shows a real feeling for American society, even though he's in exile, you know? And I was thinking, maybe it's because both of these films are about exiles within American society, people who don't really fit and who feel left out.
Both films are also about freedom, if you want. Nicholson trying to get out of that hospital, and these kids trying to be free, America trying to free itself of some really tough conflicts. I think this film is so darn good because it's actually like a documentary. If you were writing a newspaper story on what America was like in the conflicts, you'd use quotes like that from that MP, who actually is played by a real MP, not an actor. Oh, it's awfully good. I recommend this film as highly as anything we've got on the show.
2 immediate yeses, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Now, our next movie is not in the same league. It's Murder by Decree, yet another Sherlock Holmes film. Why so many Sherlock Holmes films? Well, as the cost of making films gets higher and higher, film companies seem to be playing it safer and safer with remakes, sequels, tried and true subjects like Sherlock Holmes and Dracula, films that don't take many risks, films that don't take any risks. Murder by Decree is a quite violent film. In fact, it's so bloody, I think it should really be rated R instead of PG. In that picture, Christopher Plummer plays Sherlock Holmes. Late in the film, he confronts England's Prime Minister, played by John Gielgud, with evidence that a series of killings of low-rent prostitutes leads right up to the throne of England for its prime suspect.
You accuse
But it is proof we need, Mr. Holmes. You've heard this tragic story now. But what is your link with Annie Crook? Where is your proof?
You have no proof. Only surmise. Wild conjecture.
I have proof. I have proof that a woman was cynically taken in marriage. I have proof of the husband's name, that a child was born. I have proof that the woman was committed to an asylum by order of that same Spivey. I have proof of evidence suppressed by you, Sir Charles. Evidence which seemed to accuse a member of the sacred order to which you all belong.
What should I tell the Queen? You surely don't suggest that Her Majesty is in any way involved.
I cannot easily believe that.
You have my word.
I would prefer some more reliable authority.
In the circumstances, I shall ignore your offensive attitude.
If I seem to be offensive, Prime Minister, you may take it I am offended. You offend me.
Can I resign? Would that satisfy you?
Yes, resign.
And there we see really the film's biggest problem. At a crucial point, its ending, Murder by Decree, is much too talky. That speech goes on for at least another 5 minutes. It ends up ruining what could have been a fine picture. Does have some good performances. Christopher Plummer is a good Holmes. James Mason is excellent as Dr. Watson. But the film's long, talky passages really obliterate all the thrills.
You know, Gene, you're right. I was thinking there can't have ever been that many thrillers that suddenly, at the end of an hour and a half of action and so forth, stabbings and burnings, and you're right, it's very violent, suddenly we get, you said 5 minutes, I'd say at least 10 minutes of inexplicable dialogue. They recapitulate what happens. Holmes speculates about the meaning of it all. It's not elementary at all this time to Holmes. The audience sits there, they're stunned. It's going on and on. What did they do, tune into a radio play?
Yeah, well, you've devastated this picture. I'm amazed, I guess, that it does build up like that and then really come to a halt. Do you think it should have been R-rated? I did.
Perhaps so. Yeah, it's a pretty bloody picture for a PG. It's not a family Sherlock Holmes movie.
Yeah, I would not take my kids to the film, and in fact, I wish I didn't have to go myself.
Well, I'm sorry, but you did.
Yeah.
All for the good of the show. Okay. Our next movie is A Perfect Couple by Robert Altman, a filmmaker who never seems to repeat himself. He's always starting off in one new direction after another, but his new movie is so offbeat that maybe even Altman himself didn't know quite where he was headed. Perfect Couple is about a gloriously imperfect couple who are matched up by one of those videotape computer dating companies. Girl is played by Marta Heflin. The guy is played by Paul Dooley, and so there he is standing in her apartment, an unexpected guest, because she's made a date with another guy sent over by the same computer.
Hi! Who's this? Hi! Am I early?
Oh, it's my date. No, you're right on the dot.
Here you go. Oh, now you got two of them. I see you saw the same kid with the flowers on the corner. Yeah, the little kid. Yeah, I saw. Yeah.
Alex 207, this is Dana 115.
Nice to meet you, sir.
I'm almost ready. Where are we going?
We're going to go to this terrific little Greek restaurant I know in Venice. Venice? California. Damn it, that's my restaurant. What do you mean, your restaurant? I mean, what is this?
Yeah, he's just leaving.
Okay, okay. No, you're just leaving. Right this way, sir. No, wait a minute. We are going out, right? Excuse me, sir. This young lady and I have a date. No, it's Dana. I don't care. I'm going to take her out tonight. Well, no, we have a date tonight. I think you'll find the elevators a lot quicker if you go there. No, wait a minute. No, wait. Now, we have a date tonight. We are going out. You don't understand. We've been going together for quite a while now. No, I understand. We are going out. She probably lied to you, too, because we have a date. She didn't lie to me, and we're going to... You're not wanted there. It happens to be my evening with this young lady. No, I have a date with her. We are going out. Sir, will you please go to the elevator and leave? Don't call me sir, it's Dana, and don't pull me around. Well, how about a push again? Do not push me. Don't ever push me. Don't touch me. Don't push me. I'll push you if I want to push you. No, don't push me. Do not push me. I'll push you back.
Please.
I will push you back. Push you? Don't. Because if I get mad, I will hit. I can push too, you know. I'm getting very angry. Now you're pushing me. Yes, and I'll push you again. If I can't push you, how come you... push you. I will push them. I'm going to hit you real soon. I'm going to pop you one. Listen.
Okay, so what do we learn about the computer? It looks like the girl ordered mustaches, blue mint suits, and yellow roses, and so far so good. But then it turns out she has nothing else in common with the guy that she's been matched up with. Now, Paul Dooley plays a member of a very, very strange Greek-American family. It's headed by a father who totally intimidates his middle-aged children. Marta Heflin, on the other hand, comes from an extended family that's half rock band and half commune.
It's the same guy.
And you could sort of say these two people were not exactly made for each other. They share almost nothing except the ability to get each other into the most appalling situations.
I'll never forgive myself. I don't even remember what happened.
This doesn't look like a card door. It looks more like a poker or something.
Ouch!
You're so brave. I usually faint at the sight of blood.
My ex-wife used to do that.
Most of these things are a result of domestic quarrels.
That's right, you were married this time. I forgot.
Well, we were only married 12 years. But she had these fainting spells. She spent most of her time in bed. I really didn't see that much of her.
What happened?
A jazz musician. Ran away with the saxophone player.
My wife plays the saxophone. Plays classical music. Gives her something to do.
You know, his sister's with the L.A. Philharmonic. She plays the cello.
Oh, I didn't mean she was with an orchestra. I mean she plays to records.
Yeah, my father does that. Only he conducts. Ow.
I ought to stay in bed for a while. You want some painkillers?
Yeah.
No.
Some doctors don't like to give out too many painkillers, but when you've seen as much pain as I have, it makes you want to kill it. I don't think you two should be kissing while I'm suturing.
Sorry.
She need a saxophone player if she was in bed all the time.
Some nice, wry, understated dialogue there. It's a funny scene. The first scene was funny, too, and in fact, there's a lot of funny stuff in this movie, but one of the problems with The Perfect Couple is that Altman combines this offbeat romantic comedy with a lot of musical footage featuring a rock band called Keeping 'Em Off the Streets. And he never seems quite sure in his own mind whether his movie is about the band or about the two star-crossed lovers. I'm afraid that's what keeps the movie from working. It's an interesting film, it has good performances, has more than its share of comic inspiration, but it just never quite pulls itself together.
I agree with you. I've got 2 points to make. One, I really liked the couple.
I did too.
Yeah, I found both of them interesting as individuals, and certainly as a couple. I wanted them to get together. I was rooting for them. But then, as you mentioned, it falls apart at the end. Now, Robert Altman's had a lot of problems with ending his pictures, but usually it's like the last 5 minutes, maybe, of Nashville. He had trouble there. Here, it's 45 minutes. The picture really falls off in the second half.
Yeah, you start out with these two interesting people, well performed, in these bizarre situations, the guy's home life with this crazy father that he has and so forth. Just when you get involved, suddenly you're looking at concert footage of this band. It's good enough music, but you keep saying, what are we doing looking at the band for? What happened to the people? Let's have more about them.
I think it's sloppily made, and the reason may be that I think Robert Altman may be making too many films too quickly. He's one of our most gifted filmmakers, Nashville, McCabe and Mrs. Miller, MASH, Brewster McCloud I like too. He's made 14 films in 9 or 10 years. I think he's making them too quickly. This one he whipped out right after Quintet. I don't think he put enough care into the picture, and I think it shows.
Yeah, but it's kind of funny. Now, I don't think either one of us can quite recommend it, and yet I'd say it's worth taking a chance on if you like Altman.
For the first hour, maybe, at least for me. Now, our next film is another example, like Murder by Decree, that Sherlock Holmes film earlier, of a film company taking fewer and fewer chances. It's MGM's The Champ, a remake of the old 1931 Wallace Beery film. You probably know the story. Can a down-and-out boxer, once a champ, put his life back together again, regain his self-respect, and fulfill the faith of his young son. John Voight plays the fighter, an alcoholic, and a chronic gambler. Everybody's got at least 2 problems in this picture. Faye Dunaway is his ex-wife, who divorced him when he hit the skids. Now, at a racetrack barn where Voight is working as a stable boy, Dunaway tells Voight that she now wants to take custody of their son, whom she abandoned as an infant. Now, you would think that would be enough emotion for one scene, but as if all of their human problems weren't enough, the script really lays it on thick. The kid's brand new horse has just been injured in a race.
What are you doing here?
How's the horse? Is the horse all right?
The horse is just fine. 5 minutes, they'll probably shoot.
Stop it. Stop it! Lovely.
What do you mean it doesn't work anymore?
It doesn't work any...
Like old times, huh? What are you doing here now? No smoking in the barn area. What do you want?
TJ's Timmy, isn't he?
Yeah, TJ is Timmy. So you figured it out, so what? Even a dumb horse knows her own foal.
Don't you think one of us ought to be with him right now? If he's out there...
One of us should... Yeah, one of us is, but one of us was for 7 years. Grab your purse.
Billy, will you stop it, please?
What do you want to do? After 7 years, you want to come back. What do you want to do? Hold his hand? You know what I told him? I told him that you died, that you were killed in a car wreck. That you were a tramp, that we were better off without you. You're dead, you understand that? You're dead. Kid's got no money.
I am his mother.
You're dead. He's got no mother.
I'm here. I am his mother.
You gave me custody, didn't you? And you got what you wanted. Now get the hell out of here.
Billy, please. I'd just like to see him. I'd like to know what he's like. Is that...
You want to know what he's like? Take a look. He's the 1 in a million kid you dream about. That's what he's like. You ain't never gonna see him. Not now, not never. Come on, let's get out.
Hold on, there's more. Voight's plummeting career sinks even lower when he's arrested for punching out his bookie's muscle men. The kid comes to visit Voight in jail, and Voight tells his son he wants him to start living with Faye Dunaway. Again, another heavy emotional scene.
How you doing, champ? Thought you might be hungry. I brought you something to eat. Brought you some ribs.
I ain't hungry.
Okay, champ.
I don't want you to call me champ no more.
Why?
A champ don't use his fist nowhere but in the ring.
But he was trying to take a horse, champ.
You know, but don't make no difference, TJ. I had no right, see? I'm a bum.
No, you're not. Did they say when you could get out? Did they say when you could come home?
They don't know yet, TJ. Could be a month. Could be 6 months. Look, there's something we gotta talk about. You know that lady? The one at the boat, the one you're going on about how nice she is all the time?
Annie?
Yeah, that's the one, Annie. Well, I want you to do me a favor. I want you to live with her.
That kid sure blinks a lot, but that's as far as I'm going to knock his performance. That scene does drag on awfully a lot, like so many of the scenes in the movie, where the kid is reduced to walking around, crying in his sweet little voice. Oh, champ. That's what he calls his dad, champ. Oh, champ. Come on, champ. You can do it, champ. Too much. Also, I didn't believe John Voight in this role. Most of his emotions were laid on much too thick. In fact, the whole film is really drenched in sobs and sentimentality. But my biggest objection is the same one we had a couple of months ago when Roger and I both knocked the making of a new version of Invasion of the Body Snatchers, and the objection is this. Why? Why remake The Champ? Do we really need another movie version of The Champ? You know, it isn't Hamlet. Worst of all, why waste a year out of the lives of two of our finest actors, Faye Dunaway, John Voight? Why?
I guess you could say we don't need a new version or an old version of a lot of movies, but I think people are going to movies like this now. I liked it. It's old-fashioned, it's melodramatic, it's romantic, it's a tearjerker. You can see the wheels going around. It's a machine to make you cry.
Now, wait a minute.
Okay.
You say it's a machine to make you cry. That means you're aware of something being done to you. And this is where we differ. Because as soon as I get the feeling that a movie is doing something to me, my back goes up. You liked it. Why? Why the difference?
I like the plot mechanism. I felt the old-fashioned obviousness of it was part of the appeal. A handsome guy, his poor little kid, his beautiful wife, the rich man on the ship, all the tears, the horse going, you know, everything, the big fight at the end when they're, you know, the prize fight, everything was such a cliche that I kind of relished it.
Yeah, and I just, you know, the ones that have the cliches that work for me are when I don't recognize it. Star Wars, Rocky, lots of cliches, but they're so good at it and convincing. Here, I'm watching that kid blinking. I'm seeing John Voight, and I don't buy it at all.
Well, I don't go so far as to say that I think the movie is a masterpiece, but I do think I can recommend it. I think in its old, old-fashioned way, it has kind of a sunniness and a charm to it that appealed to me.
What do you think about what I mentioned before, about Voight and Dunaway in a picture like this?
I think they could certainly both be in better pictures, but on the other hand, they have been in better pictures, they will be in better pictures.
Well, that's optimistic. Now, you
Doesn't
go ahead
disturb
with
me
our
too
next
much.
film.
Okay. Our next movie, talking about movies that are remakes, even worse, is a ripoff. I wasn't surprised to see Buck Rogers come along for that reason, especially not after Star Wars broke every box office record in sight. Because one thing's inevitable about an enormous hit movie like Star Wars, and that is we know it's going to inspire countless imitations and satires and ripoffs, and I guess you could say there's a little bit of all of those things in this new movie called Buck Rogers in the 25th Century. It's based on the old comic strip about an astronaut who's catapulted into the future through our old friend the Time Warp. Those are always dependable, you know? And the future, for some reason, looks a lot like the past, with beautiful damsels in distress, sinister villains, cliff-hanging adventures. Here's one of the movie's dogfights in space. It's a direct rip-off of Star Wars.
Watch out, Major, on your tail. Pull over, I'll get him. Pull up, I can cut him off. Not that way, you're rolling right into his power.
Captain Rogers, I ordered you to stay out of this.
Girl, you need all the help you can get.
Girl, you need all the help you can get.
Look out, Baker, he's on to you.
What's up, man?
Read my message, man.
Colonel, take it down, straight down, then put on your retros.
So how's the Gathering Empire treating?
Oh, you should join. I don't even know if there's anyone online.
Not exactly the greatest
Yeah, there's a
special
few
effects in
people.
the world. Have you sort of noticed that the spaceships or the people in them never move?
The
Anyway, Buck
Gatherer
Rogers
and-
single-handedly wins this battle and then pays a visit to the enemy's starship.
Welcome aboard the flagship Draconia.
Delighted. This is an unexpected pleasure. I'm Colonel Deering, commander of the 3rd Force of the Earth Directorate, and I believe you already know Captain Rogers. I don't believe we've had the pleasure.
I think you're mistaken, Princess. I never forget a knuckle.
This movie started out as a made-for-TV film, and it really doesn't hold up on the big screen. The movie tries to get away with its cheap production by throwing in a lot of camp humor, but the jokes wear pretty thin after the first, say about 5 minutes, and the special effects wear so thin you can almost see through them at times.
Yeah, I didn't like it either, but my biggest objection is this film is real manipulation here. This is obvious. The picture doesn't end in the way we expected. The villains aren't vanquished, and the only reason they did that, they wanted to leave it room for a sequel. So this is the problem. They're trying to make another film, not the one at hand, and the audience really gets shafted in this picture.
Hold on a minute, Gene. I think we have a guest in the balcony, and I think it might be Spot the Wonder Dog. Hello, Spot. Here to introduce the dogs of the week. That's as if Buck Rogers wasn't enough of a dog for this week. Anyway, I guess this time we have a neck-and-neck race. Is that right?
Yes, 2 Dracula pictures.
Matters how you like your
Some people
tomatoes.
complain that they're sick and tired of us picking so often on Kung Fu
Finally,
films
I
as our
can-
dog of the week.
Oh,
Well, this
finally.
week, thanks to George Hamilton and Susan St. James and an awful
gotta
script,
grind.
my dog is Love at First Bite, a toothless
I can now
Dracula
use
comedy.
all
George
tier
Hamilton as
4.
Dracula simply doesn't know how to play comedy. You don't make fun of a comic character. It's much
That
funnier
was-
if you play him straight. Not George
was
Hamilton
a
when he
process.
romances a woman in a contemporary disco.
Look into my eyes and tell me what you see.
They're bloodshot, and you had too much to drink last night.
What else?
I don't know. You tell me.
It's faction warfare.
And I can give you eternal life.
That says it all, a very unfunny film. If I hadn't been reviewing Love at First Bite, I would have left the theater at first glance.
On the other hand, Gene, what if you really wanted to sink your teeth into the vampire legends? I can't think of a worse movie to see
kind
than a
of
new
crack
pseudo-scientific, pseudo-historic, pseudo-serious would-be documentary named In Search of Dracula. The movie goes in search of the Dracula legend with lots of shots of castles in Romania and sinister graveyards in the Black Forest, all narrated by veteran vampire Christopher Lee, who makes a list of the things that could kill off vampires. Things like
So
silver
what's our
crosses and
get
stakes
rich
through the heart,
quick
and garlic, and mirrors, innocent virgins, and thorns of rose bushes. But he
Crafting
forgot one thing that can also kill off vampires, and
items
that's this
to
movie.
sell at the black
Now to
market.
recap the
and
main
we go
movies
through
on this
portals.
show, both Roger and I can't
So
praise
what?
enough
Okay,
the movie
you say the
version
black
of the
market.
musical
I know
Hair.
I've come across
We give it our
it.
highest recommendation.
Don't know
the
how it
yeses next to
works
our names
at all.
mean Yes,
So
we
all the
recommend you
loot
see
in the
this
game
picture, which
is
is rated
generated by
PG.
people that sell
Roger and
items
I
at the
also
black
agree
market.
that Murder by Decree, the Sherlock Holmes film,
So the black
is
market
much
has
too
a
talky
demand
when it should be thrilling.
constantly
2 no's
for
that.
items
We can't
that are
recommend
usually
you see
double
it. And
or
2
more of the
reluctant
price.
no's for the love story A Perfect Couple, a film
because
that doesn't know where to
they're
go
always
after its first
being
hour.
sold
Roger and
off,
I disagree on the
basically.
remake of the tearjerker The
All right,
Champ.
what do we-
Roger says he likes
by
it.
people.
I say no. I felt manipulated.
All right, and then
Finally,
how
we
do
both
we,
agree that Buck Rogers in the 25th century
what
is a
is, like,
poor
really high
imitation of
demand?
Star Wars. 2 loud
Just have to
no's for
look
that.
And that's it for
around
this show. But next
at
on
the
Sneak
market.
Previews, we'll review The Bell Jar with Marilyn Hassett as a suicidal
So
young
whatever's in high
writer,
demand at the market,
the
you sell
multi-million-dollar
on the black market?
disaster epic Hurricane
No, at the
with
black
Mia
market,
Farrow,
you can see.
and Dreamer, a love story, believe it or not, that's set
Oh.
in a bowling alley. Until
You
then,
see,
see you at the
this
movies.
I don't know how to see that.
You have to go to the black market.
Where is one of those?
You gotta be naked.
Isn't there one Penton there?
There's only one black market.
No. What's the chest icon Penton there?
What?
Penfiner has like a chest icon with a black flag. Yeah, I can't speak. A black flag and a red pouch. Yes, up. You're going the wrong way.
This? That's just a chest that you put your stuff in. That's just a
Yeah, that's all it is.
Yeah.
What? It seems sketchy. It seems like black market kind of thing. I mean, come on. No, then where's the black market?
It's the city in the middle. Calorion.
That's a ways away. Okay.
You can just teleport there, naked.
Funding for this program
sure
is
it
provided
tells
by
you
this
when you
station
click
and by other public television stations.
Storage post. Archiving back from the carrying resource and loot. Storage posts are the one-stop storage solution. Pay once for a given post. Use it forever.
I knew that. Anyway, let's not pay attention to that anymore, yeah?
I could eat a dog. Maybe.
Alright.
Come in. He's in the door.
Is there any whisper that isn't not coming?
Mrs. Briggs? Eric formal wear. I brought the dress.
Just a moment.
Brought along a size 11 also. Just in case it didn't fit, they run a little small.
A scene from Old Boyfriends with John Belushi encountering Talia Shire. He's one of the old boyfriends she visits on a cross-country trip to rediscover her past. Old Boyfriends is just one of 5 new films we'll be reviewing on Sneak Previews, 2 film critics discussing the latest movie. And this is Roger Ebert, the film critic of the Chicago Sun-Times.
Across the aisle from me is Gene Siskel, film critic of the Chicago Tribune. In addition to Old Boyfriends, we'll be reviewing Hurricane, the multi-million-dollar South Seas epic, Picnic at Hanging Rock, which is about a mysterious disappearance of a group of schoolgirls in Australia, and Dreamer, the story of a kid from Southern Illinois who bowls his way into the championship. You could call him the Rocky of the bowling alleys. But first, Gene starts with The Bell Jar.
Roger, The Bell Jar is a novel written by poet Sylvia Plath, who committed suicide at age 31 back in 1963. The novel is a semi-autobiographical book about 2 years of psychic pain experienced by the writer's alter ego, Esther Greenwood, a college student in the 50s. Marilyn Hassett, who starred in The Other Side of the Mountain, plays Esther Greenwood. She's a very confused college student, as she tells her boyfriend one night.
Remember the night we drove back from the Harvard game? When you asked me if I wanted to live in the city or in the country,
Why does the scene have to be dark?
and I said both, that I wanted to live in both places at once, and you laughed. And you said that anybody that felt like that had to be a true neurotic. Well, you're right. And I'll always be torn between two things like living in the country or the city.
Guys, gays, holy crap.
Being a poet or a housewife. I know that. I'm neurotic as hell. And it fragments me and scatters me all over the place. And I'll probably end up spending the rest of my life flying back and forth between one mutually exclusive thing and another.
Let me fly with you, Dan.
I don't know why he can't fly with her. It's a sad scene maybe, but it doesn't make much sense at all. She's just mouthing words there when she tells her boyfriend about wanting to be both a poet and a housewife. Just buy it. Up until this point in the movie, all she's ever talked about is wanting to be a poet. In fact, to help her writing career, after graduation, she wins a chance to work as an editorial assistant on a New York women's magazine. Now the movie gets really loony as Esther talks with one of her Southern Belle girlfriends, who also works at the magazine, about their writing careers.
You really want to be in fashion? Oh, Lordy, no. I want to write novels of unending passion and unrequited love, like Philomena Guinea writes. Philomena Guinea? She's my sponsor at school. You know her? You mean you really know her? Tell me what she's like. Well, she's very tall and very austere, and she talks very English, although she was born in Ohio. But she writes potboilers, Doreen. So what? She makes loads of money. You know, they make movies out of her book. She travels all over the world. But that's just a dream. I mean, I'm going to wind up married with a bunch of kids, and that's as far as my old pot dream's going to go anyway. It's not a pipe dream. You can do anything you want to. Oh. You really could. You could be a scientist, a doctor. You could be a lady Olympic pro champion, or a Boston Symphony trumpet player, or a deep sea diver, or you could be a pot boiler writer, or a pot writer boiler, or a writer boiler pot. You are behind the barn.
Unbelievable. A classic dumb moment in the movie. That seems a cross between All My Children and Hee-Haw. Seen as a look of a low-grade soap opera, as does the entire second half of the film, as Esther encounters an assortment of slobbering men who want to rape her. The film, The Bell Jar, really trashes the novel, and that's a particular shame. Sylvia Plath, the author, has a wide following among young women in college. They read her poetry, and they don't regard her novel or her poetry as soap opera. They identify with its revelations and relate to its psychic pain. I think those readers will be insulted and angered by what's happened to The Bell Jar. As for those who haven't read the book, they'll just find the movie boring and I think sometimes laughable.
I agree. You know, one of the problems that the movie faces and never solves is the problem of making a writer interesting in the first place in a movie. Writing is not a cinematic act. I mean, ordinarily you see the guy, it's the middle of the night, he's tearing paper out of the typewriter, throwing it across the room, drinking scotch. She doesn't even go that far. She writes a couple of notes in a loose leaf binder, and that's it.
Yeah, it doesn't show the madness either very creatively. All that she does throughout the film, pretty much, is scream at the top of her lungs. And when you start at an emotional pitch that high, fairly early in the movie, the actress has no place to go.
That's unrelenting. And there's another problem, too. She's always going on and on about how this woman's magazine in New York is beneath her. And yet the entire movie is on the level of true romances or true confessions. This is one of the few movies about suicide in which the audience is shouting, jump, jump, you know, get it over with.
You're right.
Put us out of our misery.
You're right.
Next, we have a mysteriously beautiful and haunting film called Picnic at Hanging Rock. One sunny summer day, nearly 70 years ago, or so an old story goes, a party of Australian schoolgirls went on a picnic to Hanging Rock, an ancient outcropping at the edge of the sea. Now, some of them never returned. And strangely enough, when I tell you that, I'm not revealing the ending. Here's a scene from early in the film, and watch how the director, Peter Weir, uses music and sunlight and easy laziness to establish a mood in which danger lurks just out of sight.
Yeah, you wouldn't have the time, I suppose, miss.
I'm Miranda, your pretty little diamond watch.
Don't wear it anymore. Can't stand it ticking above my heart.
If it were mine, I'd wear it always, even in the bar. Look at you, Mr. Hussey.
Oh, I'm coming.
Stopped at 12. Never stopped before. Must be something magnetic.
Well after 2, I'd say. We'd better be careful. I promised Mrs. Appleyard I'd have you lot back at the college by 8.
Except for those people down there, we might be the only living creatures in the whole world. I should like to make a few measurements of space of the rock if we have time, with Miranda and Irma.
Oh, please, mademoiselle. We'll be back long before tea.
Eh bien, allez.
May I come too, please?
So long as you don't complain.
I won't, I promise. And don't worry about us, mademoiselle. We shall only be gone a little while.
The clothes and manners there are really incongruous in that savage landscape, which is one of the ways that the movie makes its point. The girls wander off to explore Hanging Rock, and then the rest is silence. But there's one girl who eventually does reappear, and she doesn't remember what happened, or she says she doesn't. And after she recovers, she returns to the school, and to intense and hostile curiosity, it's as if they blame her for what happened.
See who we have with us today. Our dear Irma is with us but for a few hours. She is leaving soon to join her parents in Europe.
Cool.
Alors, mes enfants, for 10 minutes, you may talk as you choose. If you approve, Miss Lumley.
They're really attacking their own secret fears. They don't know what happened up on Hanging Rock, but they have some very disturbing suspicions. And Picnic at Hanging Rock obviously isn't a conventional thriller. There's no violence, there are no big scenes of the girls in danger, but the movie is uncanny in the way it suggests that the most unspeakable terrors lurk just around the next turn. The whole movie is filled with an unexplained supernatural menace. It's an unusual film. It's an odd film, And in its approach to the thriller, it's almost disturbingly original. I really got caught up in it, and I liked it.
What do you mean it's disturbingly original in its approach to the thriller?
Well, I think, well, a good question, I suppose. The thriller ordinarily has a denouement. Something happens at the end to explain everything. The most disturbing thing about this film is that this catastrophe takes place, the girls disappear, and nothing is explained. They just go into the void and they're gone.
And that's the very point where I disagree with you about this picture. I admire its skill. It is a beautiful film. It's an intriguing subject. I'm really wondering what happened. And yet we don't get that payoff, and that frustrated me. I felt for about an hour that we get little clues, something might happen, nothing's delivered.
That's what I love, the fact that you think something's going to happen and nothing does. These are people who are down in a landscape where they don't belong. They're kind of civilized British immigrants, let's say, or the children of immigrants. They're in this savage, ancient landscape. They don't belong there. They disappear. If there were an explanation, they fell into the river or the sea and drowned. They were bitten to death by flies.